So it's a bit of a rainy, overcast Sunday here, and we thought we'd come out and do some adventuring. We've come to go to Waitui Falls, which we'll have to find another way to one day, but yeah, I was going to start the video at Waitui Falls, but the road is shut. Road is closed, private property going through there now, which sucks. So we'll go and try and find some other things, but in this video as well, I thought I would introduce the new project rig, I suppose, to the channel, and I'll tell you a bit more about that later on. But it is beautiful country out here. It's very nice and green and lush at the moment. Sure to lock the hubs before coming down the clay track, Tim. There we go. To drive all the way back out around this section that we've already driven. I found this trail called Tipperary Trail. Yeah, there's not, as you can see, there's not much of a trail to it, but there are a pair of tracks where you can see people have driven through it. I don't think it's much longer than a kilometre long, so we'll see how we go. We're in it now, and yeah, the plan is now to get to a lookout. So, convoy and lookout, so we'll see if we can do it. I've just come out for a bit of a walk to check this trail out a bit. Oh man, yuck. Oh no. Oh, I almost just lost a thong in that. It's a bit of clay mud, and before we go getting right into this, I don't have a winch and there's nobody with us, so yeah, if we get into strife or get stuck, it's a long walk out of the bush to, I don't even know if I haven't checked if I've got phone reception here, so it's a long walk out of the bush to get some help. Yeah, look, it doesn't look too bad. Probably pop on up that, and this isn't too slippery, so yeah, I reckon, yeah, we'll see. I'll have a think about it while I'm on the walk back to the car. So I'll stop just down there, but I've definitely got to let some air out of the tyres. Run.
Hold it on. Ooh, little. Ow, 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 Come on.
yonks driving a four-wheel drive. I think the last time was Cape York in the BT50 where it was just full send. We're going to drive the tracks. Like for it, this is just a real budget little rig, which I'll fill you in on the details of it at the moment later on. But the lightness of the little old Hiluxes combined with some big wheels big tyres with muddies on them, they just go wherever. It's so good. Anyway, we've come to a crossroads. I'm gonna have to look at the map. We'll see you soon. Well, we decided not to try crossing the crossing there. Just not worth it. Like, I don't think I could walk across there without getting swept off my feet, and that's generally a pretty good rule. If you don't think you could walk it, you shouldn't drive it. Especially, I was saying just before, such a light car, the Hilux. It's not worth the risk. Got the kids in the back and stuff like that. Even without the kids in the back, it's not worth it. You know. Also, what we'll do, I don't really know where this road goes, so I'm following this Kerwong Forest Road to hopefully find a trail that might take us back out onto a main road. I don't really feel like doubling back and driving back down the trail we just came up. A, because slipping downhill is a lot sketchier than just sending it up a hill, and B, man, I already know what's down there. So anyway, we'll see where we end up. Well, after all that backtracking, and we decided not to go over that creek, we found a different way into Waitui Falls. It doesn't go through private property that isn't shut. So yeah, don't know whether, well, actually, yeah, we might get a swim. Just coming up to it now. Looks very cool. Look at all that water moving through it. It's crazy. Yeah. And the boys down the bottom, the boys were pretty keen to jump in for a swim, so even though the water's like a bit brown, I probably will too. Refresh, get some of that mud off. Golly, that looks slippery. Hey! Treacherous walk down. Yeah, if it was dry it wouldn't be so bad. A fair bit of water. Usually I think it's only coming down that bit there. But yeah, it's ripping. We had a fair bit of rain last night, so yeah, it's bumped it up for sure. What are you doing, boys? Dump truck stuff.
Oh, neat.
Zoe's been at it. The old road lunch. ham and cheese sambos. Can't go wrong. Well, that was a very refreshing but a bit cold swim. You could actually feel the undercurrent trying to pull you down a bit when you went a bit further out, so I stuck relatively close to the shore. But yeah, very refreshing. I'm glad I jumped in there. We're definitely going to have to come back when it's not ripping quite so hard, so the whole family can have a swim and spend a day by the water out here. Anyway, it's about time to hit the road, head back home. It's about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm doing a roast for Savi, so get back home and I'll tell you about that Hilux. That ain't good. So the Hilux intro, not going quite as I'd planned. It started making a couple of weird noises during that trip, so ended up bringing it back and doing a bit of investigation. What I did is I listened around, checked for exhaust leaks because I have already had that header off, put a new gasket and goop in there because it had a really bad exhaust leak. And checking around, and that sort of weird clackety noise. Did a bit of research online, ended up pulling the valve cover off, and straight down in the front of the valve cover there, it has broken off. Apparently it's relatively common for the 22Rs. It's broken off the timing chain guide. So yeah, that's not ideal. So what I've done is I've ordered a timing kit and a sort of a top end valve cover reseal kit, and I'll show this thing a little bit of love. It does have a new radiator in it and a couple of other bits and pieces already. Like the carb's not that old from what I can tell, and the alternator looks fairly new too. So yeah, what I'm going to do is I'm going to tear it down, give it a bit of love, order a few bits and pieces and make it reliable, and I'll record that process and take you guys with me. Anyway, bit of a story on this car. I actually got it for free, so the plan is a budget build. It belonged to a mate of mine. I used to have an RN105. I'll drop a photo in here. I loved it. It was an awesome car. And my mate in Brisbane, Ado, shout out mate, he had this, and I'd said, oh, you know, whenever you want to get rid of it, give me a call first. Anyway, he gave me a call really soon after we relocated and ended up moving out of the caravan, and obviously funds were a bit tight, and I said, oh mate, you know, thanks heaps, but I'm not going to be able to afford it. Anyway, a deal was struck up in the end where I'm going to get this thing sorted for a 2025 Cape York trip, and he's coming along, all expenses paid, as the payment for the old beastie. The plans: tidy up and make this reliable. I'm probably going to ditch and change the front bar. I need to have a winch in there. The suspension, it's quite stiff in the front, so at the moment what it's got is Commodore wagon rear shock, or Commodore wagon rear end shocks. It's a standard sort of steering setup. It has, I'm not sure what, but some sort of springs up front with homemade shackles. Look, it's quite stiff. I'm fairly certain the shocks are pretty much bottomed out. Doesn't ride too good, so I'm going to sort that out. What is quite good, it's a good straight body, rust free. I picked up this canopy for 50 bucks and I fitted it. The rear end, it has a shock inversion bar. The shocks are inverted, so they're not in the factory position. It has IFS rear leaves with extended shackles in there. The rear actually rides quite well, and she's pretty flexy too, so I'll chuck a couple of photos up of that. So that's all pretty good. It's full of rubbish in the back, but it's got a single drawer in the back. It's going to be a pretty simple, basic setup for the Cape, but it is a solid, straight rig. It's a petrol, not a diesel. 1994, so I'll be running you through the process of putting historic rego on it. It's fairly tidy inside for what it is. It's been relatively well looked after. It has 395,328 kilometres on it. Has a Uniden UHF or GME UHF with a Uniden aerial. It does have all of its books back to brand new, basically. So that's pretty cool. So anyway, the plan is to get this thing riding properly and be comfortable enough to not die on a drive all the way up to Cape York and back and on those roads. Get it capable and flexible. So I'll probably chuck a pair of auto lockers in it. They're about $400 each on special. So I'll be front and rear locked. Get the suspension dialed in. The rear I'm relatively happy with. I'll probably just make a couple of tweaks to that. The front end I'm still figuring out whether I want to spend the money on doing a high steer setup and rears up front, or whether I go with something like EFS 2-inch springs, pull a couple of the load springs out, run shock towers and some good quality shocks. That'll be a bit cheaper and probably the way to go. Look, the ignition system, I'm going to have to order parts for that. That's all pretty janky. But yeah, I'm fairly certain the motor's not been rebuilt in its whole life, but it doesn't blow smoke and it seems to have good compression. So second and third gear synchros are a little bit how's it going. But yeah, plan is to basically tidy out. I might do a colour change on it. It's got basically brand new 33-inch muddies on it on neg 44 steelies, so I don't need to touch those. Might do a wide track conversion on it. We'll see, probably not. But yeah, just get it set up as a basic rig to hit the Cape. So anyway, thanks for checking in on this episode and watching. Didn't quite turn out the way that I'd planned anyway. So yeah, next episode I'll be starting to tuck into the mechanical work on it, and I'll take you on that adventure with me because I've never done anything like that, so I'll be learning on the go, and you can watch me probably bugger it up. Anyway, it'll all be good fun, and I'll see you then. Cheers, guys. Alright, cool. Alright guys, welcome to a new episode on the Hilux. Now I've pulled apart the front, or started to. That's my pile of parts there. Aircon bracket, all the cooling stuff there, a couple of belts, intake. I've got the aircon pump out, leaving it connected. My plan is basically to leave everything connected and try and just move it out of the way of the engine. So now I've got to remove all these brackets, then remove the alternator, then pull the harmonic balancer off, and then yeah, we're good. I'm not going to go in depth on this because there's a stack of videos online and tutorials online which I'm following to do it. So yeah, I'll just show you little bits and pieces as we go. Anyway, getting filthy. I was up till probably 9 or 10 last night doing this, and I'm back into it at about 9 o'clock the next morning. So we'll see how we go. Thankfully, rain's come out, which is just, ooh, sorry, my hands are a bit dirty so I can't touch the thing. This is gonna be a bit weird, but yeah, excellent. I'm actually glad that I tucked the front in because it's not getting wet under here, which is nice. So anyway, keep into it. Little bit of an update, guys. So there's a cheeky little bolt that hides in there for the front timing cover, which sits underneath the head. I'm hoping I can leave the alternator in place there. I've got all the brackets off for it. I've undone the heater, taken the timing off. Everything is apart. It should, I've got the crank pulley off. It should be a case, I've got it timed to top dead center. Should, fingers crossed, be a case of removing bolts and popping the cover off. I do have to drop the bash tray and drain the oil first. So that's my next job. Anyway, feeling a bit out of my depth, but I'm getting there. I'm confident I'll get this thing back together and running. G'day guys, just had a little bit of victory, thought I'd update you. Timing cover is off. What I've done is I've laid these bolts all out here. Hopefully that works for remembering how to get them back on in the way that they came off. So all the sneaky little bolts, and I tapped it off with a hammer. Luckily I was able to leave the alternator in place, and yeah, now I've got the whole front of the motors open. So now it's time to start replacing bits and pieces. There's our culprit there, busted, and like in the sump there's heaps of little bits of timing chain guide. I think she'd been busted for a little bit, so I'm glad that I've gotten onto this, and yeah, I'll get it sorted out. G'day guys, bit of an update. I have got the new timing chain guides and tensioner all on, including new pulleys top and bottom. So that's all brand new in. I've lined up the marks to where they were on both, so the timing should still all be where it should be. I've just started to super cheap. Now comes the job of cleaning everything, getting all the old goop off, getting it all like fresh for new goop so that I hopefully minimise my chance of leaks, lining up all the gaskets, all that sort of stuff. So yeah, a little bit tedious from now, but yeah, I'm actually pretty happy, pretty stoked that I've made it this far. Hopefully I can get it back together and get it running. We'll see how we go, but not bad for an old insurance broker. Anyway, we'll see you soon. All right, so accessories are all back on, belts are on, timing covers back on, new gaskets in the top end, and that's on. I've still got the ignition stuff to do, but before I put the sump on, I thought I'd show you what I found in there. And so this has been at it for a little while. All those bits. That's all bits of the timing guide which have come apart. And we're just chilling out in the sump. Pretty bad. Anyway, so I'm going to give this a good clean out. And then, yeah, we'll tackle on. I'll get it cleaned up. New goop on it. Get it back up in there. And then I'll fill her up with oil, then put my new ignition gear on, and then hit the key and see if I've buggered anything up. And we'll see. Alright, so I've got the sump on now, and the gasket goo stuff's just drying at the moment for it. All the top ends back on. I've just put a new NGK coil on because the old coil had seen much better days. I've got the distributor set to about where it should be. Next I've got new leads and new spark plugs to go in it. And then I should be able to chuck some oil in it and hit the key, and we'll see if it starts. I'll see you when I get to that point. All right. Fresh oil's in, fresh filters in, everything's connected, I think. Yeah, I've got everything on. Let's see. Moment of truth. Oh, shush. Cross your fingers. Need to reset the timing, obviously, but tell you what, that is running. Yeah, the timing's definitely way out, so I'll sort that out. But I think all that, yeah, that's noisy. I don't call it a success. I have to sort out another lower radiator hose, and I'll pop the radiator shroud and fan back in. I do need to sort out an airbox when I do my snorkel and stuff, but I'm really happy with that. Anyway guys, that's going to be the end of that one. Next time I'll see you with this, I will hopefully be sorting out some reg on it. So I'll see you then.